There are quite a few people who complain about the fact that public schools don't function properly and that they have to be improved. They claim that the source of the problem is the fact that they are outdated. They claim that schools were created in the industrial era to make factory workers, that they were designed to resemble factory lines and that they did not change since then. And that is why we still have school bells, separate facilities specialized into separate subjects. We still educate children by batches, that is to say we put them through the system by age group instead of grouping them by some other more relevant features. We force them to sit still in straight lines, raise their hands when they want to speak, tell them that there is only one correct way to complete a task, and so on. And they claim that these are the problems that we have to solve. And that is all true, our schools resemble factory lines and are outdated, but that is not the problem. The problem is that they don't aim to educate children. That is no longer the purpose of the schools. It is obvious that we don't need that many factory workers anymore, and creative skills in the workplace are much more valuable right now than the ability to mindlessly follow a given task. So if the function of educational system was to prepare children for the challenges of today and tomorrow, we would have to start from ground up and change the educational system completely. But that is no longer its function. We don't educate children in the schools anymore, we just keep them busy. We used to educate them, but somewhere between Industrial Revolution and now our goals have shifted. We used to have children as an insurance policy, that is to say we needed them to take care of us when we got old, and for that to happen we needed them to have some sort of jobs to get income. And the purpose of schools was to mold children into workers so they could get jobs, get paid, and take care of their aging parents. These days we no longer rely on our children to take care of us when we get old. We have other insurance policies for that. Now we see children merely as toys that brighten our lives, provide us with some emotional support, and bring some sense of meaning into our boring existence. So we don't have to make workers out of them anymore. But there is still a problem that we have to solve. You see, living toys don't have an on-off switch, so you cannot turn them off on the way to work and turn them back on when you get home. And if you leave them home alone, they might burn the house down, join some street gang, or some other bad things might happen. So it is wise to get a babysitter. But since private babysitters are expensive, why not repurpose the already existing free institution that has no purpose anymore, and make it a free public babysitter? And you don't even have to change anything. Already existing systems do a sufficient job of keeping children busy while parents are at work. So that is what we did. We repurposed schools to be public babysitters. And that is why teachers are so ridiculously underpaid and don't get as much respect as teachers should get. Because they're not teachers anymore, they are babysitters. And almost any idiot can force children to sit in the classroom until the end of the school day. So why spend money on training and hiring intelligent, skilled teachers when almost any idiot is sufficient? And yes, we could improve the system a little bit here and there, but overall it does its function pretty well. It keeps children busy while parents are at work. So there is no reason to claim that it is dysfunctional and has to be improved. There is no point in improving shit when shit does the job of being shit pretty well. People who want to improve schools look at them from the wrong angle. They assume that the purpose of the school is to educate children, and therefore they start imagining perfect conditions for the children to learn. Then they compare that image to the existing schools and say, aha, there is a lot of space for improvement. But these people forget the fact that children in this society are not considered to be human beings. They are just living toys. They don't have the right to vote, so politicians don't give a shit about them. Their parents have the right to vote, but they want a free babysitter, so they only complain about school safety and other similar issues that might damage their precious little toys. And the rest of the people, they're satisfied when children are locked at schools and don't bother anyone by loitering in the public places. So to avoid this confusion where some people try to fix the thing that is not broken, we should properly name things. Educational system that we have today should be called babysitting system or daycare system, and schools should be called kindergartens or daycare centers. That way we would clearly see that most of these daycare centers do a sufficient job of keeping children busy during the working hours, and would stop blaming them for poorly educating children when they're not meant to educate anyone at all, they're just daycare centers. The problem is not that our educational system is outdated and has to be improved. The problem is that we don't have educational system, we only have a babysitting system. And I doubt that any effort to improve this babysitting system will lead to some progress until we stop treating children as living toys and start treating them as human beings. If you think that schools that we have today perform some sort of different function from daycare centers, please leave a comment below and explain what that function is, or simply complain about these lazy, ungrateful bastards who cannot appreciate the effort we put into teaching them and refuse to learn.